Oftentimes, people, particularly business people, tend to have problems, and most of the time, there's a major problem in those problems, and that's finances and it's money. And I saw somewhere where over half of the businesses that are in business still got financial problems. Additionally, oftentimes there are resources in the community that can assist not only businesses but individuals with probably any kind of problem that one may have. But for some reason, the community does not take full advantage of many of the resources that are available in our community. Well, we're just so fortunate in Macon Bibb and in other communities across the state. We have got an organization connected with businesses that are called the Small Business Development Center. And that's a resource. That's a phenomenal resource. That's a useful resource. That's an underutilized resource. And so we need to become familiar with many resources, but as a businessman and as an individual who has been in business and as a person who publishes the Black Pages, which is the directory of African American businesses, and as an individual who's just deeply concerned about business and businesses being successful, I want y'all to know about the Small Business Development Center. So that's what we have today. That's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about business and this phenomenal resource that is available in our community. This is a call to action. I'm your host, Alex Habersham, and I'm so fortunate uh, today to have two individuals from the Small Business Development Center in the persons of Miss Lisa Rackley, who will introduce herself in a moment, and Mr. Luis Mendez. I've had to practice that, y'all, so I could say it right. So he said people call him everything but a child of God. So I didn't, I didn't want to be guilty of Mr. Luis Mendez. So they both are with the Small Business Development Center. So let's do a quick and dirty introduction, starting out with you, Lisa.
Okay, so thanks for having me or having us today, Mr. Habersham. My name is Lisa Rackley, and I'm the area director of the University of Georgia Small Business Development Center in Macon. This office in Macon serves 19 counties in the middle Georgia area, including Macon-Bibb. And we are a resource of the University of Georgia, funded in part by the U.S. Small Business Administration and the state through the university. So we work with new and existing businesses in 19 counties in Middle Georgia out of our office here in Macon. And we also have 18 other SBDCs throughout the state. So we are a statewide organization, but in our office in Macon, we serve 19 counties in Middle Georgia.
That's outstanding. Luis?
Yes, my name is Luis Mendez. I'm a business advisor with the Macon SBDC. As Lisa said, my role, we cover 19 counties. As a business advisor, my concentration are in 3 areas. They are assistance in access to funding, assistance in accounting related issues, like record keeping, and the other one, basic legal advice, such as differences between LLCs, sole props, corporations, partnerships.
That is so outstanding. And I mean, really, and then the SBDC, these centers have been around for quite some time. And I am very, very familiar with many of the success stories and many of the programs and projects and initiatives. As a matter of fact, they just finished being associated with one was the Women's Summit that was very successful. And it was at Middle Georgia State. Is that right, Lisa?
Middle Georgia State, yes, sir. We just finished up our Women's Summit, Women of Business 2023, our 4th year, and we had over 102 in attendance. So we keep growing year after year after year, and that program features women and community leaders in the Middle Georgia area. We focus on highlighting business, women in business and their stories, and community leaders as well.
Yeah, and that is really phenomenal. And you all had some dynamic presenters and looking at your flyers. So I mean, that's just one thing. So the thing about SBDC, the Small Business Development Center, is that they engage in projects and activities where the rubber meets the road. And statistic and research will tell you and show you that businesses need help. And one of the things, Luis, that has bothered me year after year is that, and I don't know what to do about it. I really try to support it as best I can. Is that sometimes resources are underutilized in our community. Sometimes, and this does not only apply to economic situations, but social, mental, educational, you name it. There are resources in our community that help out. And of course, we're not going to ask you to explain the medical resources, but I just use that as an example to indicate that there are resources available. But we are more than a little fortunate to have the SBDC in our community and assistance. So, Lisa, we're going to start with you. Just give us a general overview. And I know Louise has special areas, but just give us a generous overview. And then maybe Louise can talk more specifically about certain scenarios or situations if he chooses to. But just tell us a little bit about SBDC.
Okay, so like I mentioned earlier, we are a public service and outreach unit of the University of Georgia, funded in part by the Small Business Administration and the state. We have 3 business consultants in our office who work with small businesses, and we are an educational resource. We teach small business owners how to write business plans, how to analyze their financial information. We can help with financial projections, with marketing plans, strategic plans. So we're really a business resource for small business owners, existing businesses, and then we can help people through the startup process as well. And so we are business consultants available to small business owners in the Middle Georgia area and then throughout the state. So really, we're an educational resource teaching small business owners how to do some of the things that they need to do in their business, and also assisting them in areas that they need more information with. I totally agree. Sometimes the financials of a business those intimidate small business owners. And sometimes it's about teaching people how to read their financial statements and understand the profit and loss statement and the balance sheet. So we're educators, and we just we have the privilege to work with small business owners and help them in the different areas that they need assistance with in their business.
Yeah, and that's extremely important. Now, so we don't forget it, what's the process of soliciting and securing the help from your agency?
Okay, so if you've never owned a small business before and you call our office, we're going to ask you a series of questions to gauge where you are in the process. It's an electronic survey now, so we'll send the survey to you and we will ask you to complete it so we can evaluate where you are and then evaluate your next steps. If you've never owned a small business, we are going to recommend that you take a class on starting a small business, which and those are all webinar based now. We have lots of resources in our area for starting a business classes, including our webinars that are offered every month. There's also startup classes available at the Middle Georgia Regional Library. So we have some resources out there that because if you're going to take this important step and get a business started, you need to make sure that you understand what you're getting into as you go through the process. And so That's very important as well. And then if you're already in business, we're going to ask you to complete a survey also that tells us where you are, what kind of assistance you're looking for, because we have, we have 3 consultants in our office, and we have Luis, and we have different areas that we're strong in. And so we want to make sure that the business owner gets connected with the right consultant in our office.
Okay, well, we have one of those consultants on this interview with us in the person of Mr. Luis Mendez. So I know you gave the 3 specific areas, but Luis, if you would talk a little bit more specifically, about those areas, what you do and what you have found out in interacting with businesses as it relates to where they are and where they need help and how you can help them, and maybe some of the steps that they could or should have taken before going into business. Lisa, I'm so glad you said that, because it really breaks my heart in many instances where people want to start a business and they don't know what they're doing. They got illusions of grandeur. Then they go and borrow money, a lot of money, or spend a lot of their savings or their retirement money to go into business, thinking that they know what they're doing. And by seeing other people in business and think, oh, I can do that. I know how to put a roof on, so I'm ready to start a roofing company, not knowing that there's a process involved. So I'm glad you said it. So, Louise, just talk a little bit about your areas of responsibility, if you would.
Yes, yes, like you mentioned, there's many resources, but they're not utilized by people, by our friends, by our family, by our colleagues, by the community. I saw that at firsthand coming from banking. Whenever you talk to a client that wanted to apply for a loan, those loans for businesses can be overwhelming, those requirements. And that's what a lot of people are afraid. But that's what we're here for. The SBDC, we help you with the loan process. Like Lisa mentioned, we're educators. We'll teach you how to do it. We'll give you the feedback. But at the end of the day, we're not here to do it for you. But yes, basically just getting to know you, the business, what your goal is, the structure you have, what you've done so far. Getting all that information is essential to be able to help, for us to help you, give you the best advice needed for your business. And many times it's getting access to that funding. And we do it, we have different relations, connections, not only with banks, but we have connections with nonprofits, CDFIs, which are community financial centers. SCORE is one of those. We have many partners.
Yeah,
So,
that's
so SCORE is one of our resource partners, and they provide mentorship. We have a Middle Georgia SCORE that they do the same thing that we do. They teach and they provide mentorship to small business owners and people who want to start businesses as well.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said that, because really there are a lot of resources out in our community for businesses. And and I know how crucial it is in all of my conversations and interviews and discussions, how important it is, to take advantage of those resources, particularly as it relates to a business plan. Thank God that there are people who do a business plan and realize that, hey, well, I don't think I want to do this. I didn't know that it included all of that. So it behooves everybody to have a business plan and to seek help in trying to determine what they are going to do with that business plan. So that is extremely important. And then I started off by talking about money. I mean, you all probably don't know it because it's kind of like a comedy, but there's a movie called It's All About the Benjamins. And what that movie entails and what it suggests is that it's about the money. And when it comes to business, That's what it's all about. Because, you know, last time I checked, if you're in business and not a nonprofit, you know, the key to being in business is profit. And profit entails money and cash. And then oftentimes many of us are not familiar enough with what having money and borrowing money and spending money and buying and selling, you know, entail. So luckily enough, SBDC is going to come up, has already come up with a workshop entitled Myths and Realities, Small Business Funding, which is very crucial. And you know, both of you or one of you, however you choose to do it, let's talk a little bit about that. You know, I got excited when I got the flyer. I am a member, a founder, really, of a business coalition called the Central Georgia Coalition of Black Businesses in Central Georgia. And I, of course, am going to let all of our members know about this workshop coming up. So let's talk about that for a minute.
Yes, coming up December 6th, in-person class from 9 to 12. Anyone is invited to attend. I'll be hosting it along with my colleague Howard Dent. What we're going to talk about is, like the title states, the business realities of business funding. So we're going to take a dive into what we call the SSBCI program, which stands for State Small Business Credit Initiative. It's a program which is meant to support small businesses' access to capital. We're going to talk about that. And we're also going to dive into different lenders, not your usual banks. We're basically, and we're going to have a guest who's going to talk about what they offer, and the participants, the attendees, will have that opportunity to ask questions to a lender who's going to be with us that day.
So we're doing this program in partnership with Newtown and the Department of Community Affairs. So we will have someone from Newtown at this program. Mr. Habersham, I think I interrupted you. I'm sorry.
Huh?
I said, I think I might have interrupted you. I'm sorry.
You did not. You did not.
Okay.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
The great thing about this program is that we have this one coming up in December, and then we will be doing one every quarter in next year in 2024. So if someone misses this first program, we've got one every single quarter next year, and we're right now we're looking for locations. The first one for next year is going to be a webinar, and so but the other three will be in person, and we will have some of the lenders from some of the other organizations that support small business lending as well at each of the programs.
Well, that is so important, and you know, it's just really kind of sad, really. And I'm glad that you all are doing this because you know money is very important, and oftentimes people lose a lot of money, you know, lose their own money, and they don't understand. They try to finance it themselves, and they come up with the scenario, I don't want to borrow any money, and you know, and then they come up and ask you, well, are there any grants available, you know, for me to go in a private business for myself? So there are all kinds of misconceptions, if you please, as it relates to how financing and money tie into running a successful business. And the other thing that's really missed would be all of the resources. You know, you got several avenues of trying to find out, you know, the best approach to trying to get funding for your business. So I'm glad that you all are doing this. And all four of those will be on financing.
Yes, sir. We're going to do this Myths and Realities of Small Business Funding 4 times next year also. And so those will be once a quarter for next year. And we're, like I said, we'll be doing those in different areas. This program on December 6th is in our office, but we will be taking it on the road as we move into 2024, getting out into different areas to deliver the program.
I know people are chomping at the bits to be a part of this program. And then now one thing that you may need to talk about, Luis, is, it's not just for startup businesses, so talk a little bit, because oftentimes there are existing businesses that may have problems in specific areas. Just talk about how SBDC can be a resource for an existing business who may need one of those elements that you discussed in your introduction.
Yes, yes. Like you said, not only for startups, but established businesses. Those are the ones that need that guidance. They're already doing the business, but they know they can take the next step, but it sounds easy, but how do I do it? So that's where we come into play. Lisa, Jessica, Peter, my teammates here, they have years of experience in many areas related to business. And if I have a client who may need help apart from financing, I may invite them to co-consult, or if it's the best benefit for the client, I may connect the client to one of my colleagues like Lisa to be able to better serve the client.
Yeah, and that's important. So, I mean, it looks like the whole gamut is covered as it relates to being able to offer assistance. And then the good thing about it, you all readily admit that there are other resources available, and you're just part of a team.
We are.
There are many other resources out there that are available to help people be successful in business, not only as it relates to financing, but in other areas too. So let's give the date and the time again, and how do you, what one has to do in order to be a part of it.
Right, right.
Go ahead, you good.
We're not here
Okay.
to eat. We're here to help each other with the other resources. That's so we can better serve our community. But the date for the Business Reality Small Business Funding, Wednesday, December 6th, in person from 9 to 12 at our local office here in Macon. We're located across the Riverside shops. To register, you can go on our website, georgiasbdc.org. There you will look for the Macon office and you will see this class, and you can simply register.
Okay, that's outstanding. And then we need to, and then that not only applies to the small business funding workshop, but what if a person need help? What I'm trying to do is because usually, and that applies to me too, whenever a problem is about to exist in your business, you'll get some kind of sign. You know what I'm saying? And then, so what we do is what I'm doing is trying to encourage people when they see signs of that. There might be a problem in marketing or management or finances or resources, human resources, what have you. Then, if there are resources available out there to help you with those areas that seem to be popping up, then you need to call for help. So should they just call, Lisa, should they call you for any kind of problem, business related, that they'll have?
Yes, sir. If they call the office, our number is 478-757-3609. We're gonna talk to them and find out what's going on. We'll ask them to do the questionnaire to give us a little bit more information, and then we will connect them to the resource that they need to be connected with. And that includes the resources in our office, or it might be some external resources as well. We have a lot in the area, but our office, we have a consultant with a area of expertise in human resources, that's me. And then we have Peter Williams, who has an excellent background in financial matters. He's a LinkedIn expert, and Jessica White is our other consultant, and she has a background in sales and marketing. So really, sometimes when people work with us, it might be they come in and say, you know what, I really need help with HR. But as we're going through the process, we find out that they might need help with marketing, or they might need help, with LinkedIn to market their businesses to others. So that's why when you call the office, doing the questionnaire is so important, because it helps us connect the caller with the right resource. And so that's why we like people to do the survey, so that we can get the information to be able to help them. And sometimes it's even that we will work with a small business owner, and we're working with them, but we may send them to another resource as well while we're working with them, just because like I said, there's other resources out there. We're not all, just because you're working with us doesn't mean you can't work with SCORE, or you can't work with, Spark Macon. It just really depends on what you need as a small business owner.
That is so outstanding. I really appreciate the opportunity to have this discussion with you all. It's so important, and I'm encouraging everybody to take advantage of, and it's entitled Myths and Realities, Small Business Funding Workshop, which is going to be here in Macon on the 6th, in person by SBDC. And then, let's give the contact info one more time, so they'll know where to go, to sign up for it.
Okay,
Yes,
so go ahead, Luis.
All right. Our website is georgiasbdc.org. There you can look for the Macon office. You will see this specific class, Myths and Realities, Small Business Funding. And you can also check out the other classes that are upcoming that may be of your interest. And the address is 4875 Riverside Drive, Suite 202 in Macon. We're across the Riverside Shops. And our phone number, 478-757-3609.
Okay. This is a call to action. I'm your host, Alex C. Habersham, having interviewed Mr. Luis Mendez and Ms. Lisa Rackley of Georgia Small Business Development Center. I want to thank you all for everything that you do. I will continue to encourage everybody to utilize those valuable services that you all offer. And I appreciate the opportunity to have this discussion. And I will see both of you on December the 6th.
Yes, sir.
Anything else?
Thank you.
Anything?
No, sir. Thank you for having us.
All right. This is a call to action. I'm your host, Alex Habersham, having interviewed Lisa Mendez and Ms. Lisa Rackley. These L's mixed here. You all have a great day.
www.makingblackpages.com